Hello everybody, my name is Chelsea. I'm a photographer and today I am showing you how I edit my photos. This is a photo of my friend Talia. For this photo, I used an aperture of 4.0 and the shutter speed was 1/60. Really hope that this tutorial gives you some insight into how I edit my photos, as well as hopefully you learn something new. Alright, let's get into it. I first start off every edit that I do by unlocking the original picture in the corner. From there, I would just make a layer copy and I rename it so one is edits and the other one is original. I do this name change because at the end I like to compare and contrast. I'll go in and I'll add some groups, so this one I'm naming unedited, and the other group that I'm going to create is the edited group. Now before I create the second group, I'm just going to crop the image. I'm cropping it to 4:6, which is the same measurements that it was shot in. I'm cropping the image so that it frames her face and she's completely in the center. In the background there's poles and I use that to help straighten my lines, so this is me just cropping. I usually like to keep the eyes at the third level. I always go by the rule of thirds, so usually when I crop, I like to eyeball it. That newly cropped picture looks good to me. Now I'm going to go into the camera raw filter. When I'm in the camera raw filter, I like to play around with a lot of things. Like I will play around with exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. I do not touch the temperature unless I feel it's necessary. For this photo, I don't feel like touching the temperature is necessary at all. I rarely touch the clarity and vibrance and saturation as well. Usually if I have to edit that, I will do it later in the process. So for these edits, I put the exposure up to 0.35. The contrast is +3, and the highlights, I actually brought the highlights down so that the background wouldn't be as bright, to -68. For the shadows, I brought it up so that it brightens up one side of her face so I brought the shadows up to 28, and for the whites, I'm giving her a little bit more. I'm giving this photo a little bit more for +3, and blacks, I think I'm gonna put up the blacks. Do not know how much yet, but for the blacks, I'm gonna do 18. 18 seems like a solid number, so I'll click OK. So, like I said before, I like to compare and contrast, so here I am comparing and contrasting the old versus the new edit. Now finally, I'll make that group where it's the edited group. I'll just rename it to edited, and I'll put all my edits under that. I do this so it's more organized. I'm also super paranoid when I make edits, so I'll usually copy the edited portion, but for this copy, I'm going to rename it eyes so that I can go in and brighten her eyes with the dodge tool. I really love using the dodge tool on the eyes. It just gives her a little bit extra pop, and that's where we mainly want the focus to go to, is her eyes. Now I'm going in, adding a new layer, doing more definition with the eyes, but this time I'm adding some eyeliner. So I'll go in with the brush and take a black color. The size is 9, hardness is 0. The smoothing tool on the brush is at 22%. So I'm just going over the eyeliner that she already has on. So now that she has her eyeliner, I'm actually going to take down the opacity of the layer to about 22%. I feel like 22 is a really good percentage. Before, after. I just made a new layer. I'm titling it lips because I feel like her lips need a little bit of extra color. So I'll go in with the dropper tool and take a little sample of the color of her lips. So then I'll go in and use that color that I just took and go over her lips. Just outline it. Once I finally fill in all the lips, I'll take the opacity down to about 22%. I'm just retouching with the color brush, and then I'm going to go in with the eraser tool and erase some of the harsh lines so it's not as prominent. I just like doing this to give her lips a little bit more color. After this, I will go into a curves layer, and I love playing around with curves, and I'll do like a custom curves layer. So with every single curve that I make, I like to do like a Big Dipper sort of formation with it, which you can see I'm doing here, just like a little scoop. And again, I'll just play around with it until I feel like it's really good. Again, after the RGB curve, I will go into the specifics, so the red, green, and blue, and I will make that little spoon dipper shape. After I'm done with all the curves, I like to go back to the see all portion, the RGB, so I can see all of the scoops. And here you can see the little scoops. So this is what my curves layer looks like. It's a little too much of the warm tone, so I'll take down the opacity to about 22%. I think that the curves layer just adds a little something extra. Here you can definitely see the difference between the layer with the curves and the layer without. Her face is a little red, so I'm actually going to get rid of the redness. I'll go into the reds preset. I learned how to get rid of blotchy / red skin through a tutorial that I found online, which I will link down below. After I put the hue down all the way down to -180, I'll just use the slider to choose what portions of the face I want to correct. So after I'm done with the selection, I'll just take the hue back to 0 and then start fooling around with it. I just put the hue up a little bit, and then I'm also going to take the saturation down. This way her face is not as red as it was before. I put the hue up 5, and then I put the saturation down to 8. And there's the difference between with the hue and saturation versus not the hue and saturation. The last edit I'm going to do is just I'm going to add another brightness layer, and I'm going to bring the brightness up to 7. This is the final image with the edits that I did. You can see the difference between the before and the after. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you learned something from it. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this in the future or behind the scenes photo shoots, please hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. Hope you really guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.